So you join me Tuesday first after the bank holiday. The realisation that a track day I'd promised I'd said I'd go on to Abingdon Raceway, I think it's called. It's an old runway racetrack. I've not done a runway one before, so I'm pretty excited by it. My brother-in-law is taking his MX-5, which is supercharged. He's never done a track day before, so he's really excited to take it out. But the realisation is my Clio hasn't seen the light of day for probably 6 months. So I finished work and I've now just got a battery and I'm off to my mate's garage to try and get it started and get it back home. I need to sort out taking out the race battery that's in it, putting in a normal battery because there's no power supply down at his garage, so the battery just keeps going dead. So I've had a battery on trickle charge that hopefully it's going to work because it wasn't too great itself, so we'll see if that starts there. What I'm going to do is get the car started, bring it back home. The battery box that was in the back of my Racing Puma, the project one that I've got, I think I'm going to use that and find a situation. I'd probably put it behind the passenger seat in the Clio. It'll all make more sense shortly when you see what I'm doing. So yeah, I'm just going to go down now to go and get the Clio. Fingers crossed I get it started and get it home. And the main reason I'm trying to rush is with it being Tuesday and the track day Friday, I need to get it in for an MOT before I drive it to the track, which is about, I think it's about 90 minutes from where I live to Abingdon. But I want to get it to my mate's garage tonight so that he can drop it off to get it MOT'd in the morning for me. So yeah, so let's get down the garage, mate's garage, and get the car out and see if we can get it running, fingers crossed. So what am I doing? Right, well, good news is the car started and I got it back. What I've taken out of the other Puma is this battery box. I'm going to put it here. I'm just borrowed a drill. I'm just going to mount it up now, and I'm going to use the battery out of my Racing Puma. It's a bit of a smaller one, but it fits in the box quite well. The problem I was facing is down at the garage where I store it, there's no power, so I can't leave it on trickle charge. So this race battery, this Odyssey one's gone out. So what I'll do is, because I'm never going to be using the Racing Puma and the Clio at the same time, I'll just use the same battery. So when it's not in the Puma, I'll put it into the Clio. So I think that's going to be the better setup, and I may as well take advantage of using this battery box that was in the other Puma, because I won't be using it in there again. So what I'm going to drill now is drill the 4 fixings, try and find some spacers and get this attached so I can get it taken down to my mate this evening so we can get an MOT on it tomorrow. So but yeah, before I finish, I thought I'd have a quick look around the car because new subscribers won't have seen this, so you can see what I've got. It's a V6 airbox. It's got 438 cams. It's just had a replacement put in, brand new alternator, brand new starter motor, all brand new coolants, sorry, fluids, not coolants, gearbox oil, coolant, a lot. She's a bit battered on the outside. I'll give you a better run round soon, but the Corbo bucket seats, Sabote harnesses, so custom frames that made the base lower into the car because the standard or the OMP ones are too tall, so There's a chap on the forum who made some lower ones which is decent, so you can keep the sliders on it without sitting too high. You can take the sliders off and make the seat lower in fact, but it makes it a bit too low. The Renault Save-Bolt steering wheel. Spare set of wheels which I bought and collected not so long ago. Still haven't got the tyres mounted up on them, so I'll get those fitted. They're basically a brand new set of 8008s. There you go. Perfect. So we'll see how we get on with the tyres that are on there. I can't remember what they were like after the last track day. I think they've taken a bit of a battering. So yeah, I'll get those mounted up, then I've got a spare set for the track day. But for now, let's get this drilled in and get it sorted. So then, the Clio failed on a hell of a lot of things on the MOT, and it's definitely not going to be ready by Friday for the track day, so absolutely gutted. But I'm going to do what I can. It's a couple of days later now. I'm going to do what I can to try and get as much of it resolved so that I can put it back through the MOT within 10 days, having a free retest. So I'll let you have a quick look, to be honest. So the brake hose, sorry. The rear lines are completely rotten. They all need replacing and cutting out. So I spoke to Javen, a friend of mine. He's going to do all those side of things for me. Windscreen washer provider insufficient. Washer liquid. Well, I filled it full of liquid, so I'm guessing that the motor's gone or a fuse, so I can do that. Registration lamp, that's easy. Position lamp, that's a rear light. I'll do that. Engine light. Indicates malfunction. Yeah, that's nothing to worry about. We can clear that code before the next one. The brake pipe excessively corroded offside rear. That's something I can take a look at. Emission not tested, obviously they didn't bother doing that at this stage. Tyres cutting in excess of the requirement depth to reach the ply cords near side front. Okay, so there's one of the tyres that I bought second hand, which pretty much new, is obviously slightly too damaged to pass the MOT, so I'll have to put another tyre back on for that. Battery insecure but not likely to fall from carrier. That's the one I fitted. However, I'm still getting some really annoying starting issues from the battery, and the only reason why I put the battery in the boot in the first place was to get the V6 airbox in there from the V6 Clio. So what I'm going to do is I'll reposition the battery back into the engine bay and reposition the V6 airbox to make it work. So I'll go through that later in a different video for you. Just to show you that the refurbished wheels have got the new tyres on. So that's something to look at as well. On a previous track day, someone did collide into me and they hit the wheel, as you can see from the damage there. They hit this side of the car and it pushed the rear beam over probably by about an inch on the bushing. So when I take the car back to Javen to sort out the brake lines and replace them, I'll get him to shift the rear beam back over, because obviously it's not something I can do without a ramp. As you can see, this comes out a lot further this side than it does on the other side. So what I'm going to do this morning is change the brake pads just on the rear. That's something I can do, and I'll sort out all these other little bits like the lamps and etc. So let's make a start on that. Let's get these brake pads, rear pads resolved, and then we'll go through some of the other issues and other bits and bobs on the car. Absolutely good. As you can tell, that I won't be able to take it on the track day, but I'm thinking at this stage that I'll take the Racing Puma, so more on that in a bit. But I'll put you on time lapse. Let's get these rear brake pads changed. So for anyone who just wants to try their brakes themselves, first thing to do, take your cap off the brake reservoir. So So when you wind back the caliper, the piston, sorry, it has the fuel somewhere to go, so it makes it a lot easier than you fighting against the pressurised system. Break your wheels loose before you jack the car up. Jack the car up and put a stand underneath, of course. And then whiz off your wheels and make a start. But there you go, that's okay, that's one side done. As you can see, as you saw in the time lapse. You must always remember to put the retaining clips back in. Sorry a sec, just bear with me. You should always remember to put these retaining pad clip pins back in, these springs here, and also the one on the bottom there. But yeah, that side's in. Just going to nut check everything now. Obviously you've got to check these two again. I use the winding tool to wind the part back in there. And yeah, just about that. Obviously I have to take the disc off of these, so you have to undo that. I think it's about 320 Newton meters. I'm going to go and check in a second. But yeah, that's one side done, and now I'm going to go and do the rear side. While I'm down here, I thought I'd show you the main reason for the MOT failure is the brake lines. And if you take a look here, they're okay. You still see those bit of green paint on them from new, up until they get to this section where they go into this block here. So I've got some upgraded lines to go in here, but the issue is as soon as you go to turn this off here, they round off and break, the same as on this point. So instead of me struggling on the driveway making up new lines, Javen is going to cut the line here and make a new part that goes into the block with 4 new ends, and then as they come out the other side, he'll put my new lines in here and create new lines there. So it's quite a bit of work, but it's something a lot easier for him to do. The other thing to mention, when I said about the rear beam being shunted over this way from where it got an impact at Castle Combe, and it shifted over an inch, it's on these bushes here where it's actually slid over. You can actually see where it was originally, where it's gone now. So I'm hoping Javen can somehow, when it's on the ramp and the weight's off it, perhaps hit this side, even possibly with a sledgehammer at the bottom down there, just to shove this back over into the position it should be, to stop this wheel rubbing on the back here, because it's not good. And obviously it's the balance of the car is going to be completely out as well. Not as bad as if it was, say, the front, which was misaligned, but it's certainly worth, it certainly needs doing. Let me see if I can get you a better view on this side. I can't quite see this side. But yeah, up there it slid on those parts, so hopefully you can shunt that over and that'll be fine. But yeah, that's the one side of the brakes done. I'll put you on time lapse and we'll do the other side now. So not only has it started pissing it down, hammering it down, this bolt has just snapped. However, I have got a spare rear caliper set up, so I'm just going to go and take this to the garage and prep it up and get ready to swap it over, and hopefully the rain will stop once I've taken this apart and get it ready to put on. Great, just great. So that was an absolute nightmare. So once the bolt had snapped in the back, luckily I had a spare rear caliper set up, so I replaced the unit over, and then annoyingly I was having a problem with the brake line. I couldn't get the nut undone, it started to spin, so what I did was took the unit off and actually spun the whole unit rather than the brake line nut, because it was just spinning. So I just held this and physically span this and held it with some mole grips on that there, so it wouldn't spin and break the pipe. Fortunately that seems to have gone on and everything seems to be alright. So that's one job ticked off the list. Next thing I want to do is reposition the battery from there back into the engine bay where it was originally. So I'll set you up now and you can see what I'm going to do. In fact, just a second. So the battery, standard, goes here, but because I put the V6 airbox in, it obviously takes it away. However, Ollie, a friend of mine, says if I put a 90-degree bend on there, which he's got, which he's going to sell me for 30 quid, I can put this down in this area, put that pipe facing this way, so it still gets a cold air feed, and I can put the battery back. Now the problem, I'm going to change the battery back into the normal position. I've been having so many starting issues. Now it's either the battery was too small, it didn't have enough crank, or the power cable that I fitted, albeit even though it was very thick, might not be thick enough, and also the earth might not be good enough. So it could be that one of those reasons or all of those reasons. So what I'm going to do now is remove the airbox and try and get this repositioned in this area. I'm also having issues with the fan. The fan wasn't kicking in, so I'm going to take off the fuse here and check the relays in there. I had a look online, it's a common fault that one of the relays could go, so I've actually ordered one and it's arrived in the post. So I'll change that relay, and hopefully what I can do, instead of bringing it up to temperature, see if the fan will then kick in. If you take this off here, the ECU will think that it's a faulty switch, temperature switch, and it will just kick the fan on. So what I was doing on track days was I cut the line and gave it a permanent feed, which allowed me to leave the fan on whilst on track. But obviously I want it to kick in on its own because it's a pain having to do it manually. So yeah, let's get the airbox out, let's cut this off, change the relay, and get the battery repositioned where it belongs in here. You'll see there that the ECU is actually laid down before it stands upright, so we're going to have to reposition that back to its more standard position. But yeah, let's crack on for now. So good news, this relay in here, the grey one, is in the wrong hole. So this one was blank, okay, there's no wires underneath. So as soon as I put it in there and undone the sensor, the fan's kicked in, which means that it was just literally that relay. So if I put this back in now, the fan should turn off. There you go, so the fan's turned off, so that's all sorted. So that's the overheating issue sorted. Let me just turn the engine off. I've relocated the battery. So yeah, just in case you didn't hear me there, just quickly, that relay was in the wrong slot. As soon as I put it over there, the fan's kicked in, and as soon as I put the temperature switch on back in, that's turned off. So that's perfect. So that's resolved the overheating issue and the fan not kicking in. The battery starts up, no problem at all. Now it's in the correct location again. The only thing I'm having a little bit of a fiddle with at the moment is where to put the ECU, because the ECU bracket and all standard brackets gone from here. So I'm just trying to find out where I can put it in there and fix it securely. So that's just what I'm sorting now. Yeah, so I'll put you back in time lapse and carry on that for the moment. So I think I found a solution for the ECU. Got some double-sided, padded, like a padded tape. I'm going to put it up against here, and there's a zip tie. There's 2 holes, I don't know if you can quite see in there. We'll put zip tie through. So I'm going to put this up against there, so it's got a bit of protection. I might put another strip in between there as well, and rest it up against there, and it'll butt up against here quite firmly, and that should make it pretty rigid and safe. And the cables are all relaxed on it, so I think that's going to be the best option. Not perfect, but I mean, I think just by not drilling more holes in and getting away with using a zip tie there, it's going to be quite firm. But I'll keep an eye on it. Obviously with track cars and stuff, every time you go out you need to keep an eye on what's going on with them. But I'm pretty confident that's going to be alright. So I'll put you back on time warp, and I'll finish this off. I'm just waiting for Ollie. He said he's going to drop the 90-degree out of there for me, so I can fix that in. And then I'm going to change the rear registration light bulb, the rear left passenger side brake light, and that's a few more items to tick off the list. So yeah, I'll put you back on time lapse, and let's get this ECU fixed in position. There we go, ECU is in. It's nice and secure, it's not going anywhere, and the padding just gives it a little bit of resistance, or cushioning, sorry, should I say, between the chassis and itself. So that's good. The battery's in and secure, much safer. The V6 airbox, it's a bit of a pinch here where the breather comes in, but I think that's going to be the best way to have it for now. It might be good if we get a reducer and actually connect it to the existing airflow, but that's going to be plenty good enough. These clips are forever going missing. I've only got 2 out of the 4, so I've used a zip tie on there. So that means that that's nice and closed. And as I said a minute ago, I need that 90 now just to finish that off. So really happy so far. The ECU sorted, the starting issue sorted, the airbox sorted, the batteries come back from the back of the car into here. So I'm going to take out all that work I did the other day. I'm going to have to undo now. I'm just going to take that out now. There's no need for it there. And let's put you on the back now. I'm going to, in fact, I'll change the light bulbs now while I think about it. And that's something else to tick off the list. So absolutely nothing is going straightforward today. I changed the bulb and it didn't work. I was worried that there was a problem with the cable. After a further inspection, pulling out the connector, this it's got a load of build up on it, so I've scratched that off and it's now working. So even changing the light bulbs has been a pain in the ass today. Oh shit. I'm sure this car is trying to fight me to the bitter end. The amount of issues, electrical issues I've had with it, is unbearable. Let me talk you through the other one now. The current one, so it's 1 step forward, 10 back at the moment. It's really beginning to piss me off. The problem with the brake start off, and then I sorted that, and now we've got this problem. I've had it before as well, so put the key in the ignition. I've just taken the battery off, that's annoying. But basically the immobiliser light is staying on and the car's not turning over, so not entirely sure what that is. There's a way of resyncing the key with it again, so I'm just going to have to read up on YouTube and online to find out how to resync that. But I've left the battery off for now for half an hour and see if that'll help reset it or something. But yeah, right, pretty annoyed at the moment, but we'll keep plodding forward with it, see if we can actually get it ready, or get it finished, ready for the re-MOT. as soon as possible, because obviously you have to have it done within 10 days, I believe, for a free retest. So I'd like to obviously meet that target. Okay, so I left the car for a bit, looked online, and it said it's an electrical thing with immobiliser. Just leave it for a bit and it'll probably start without issue, which it did, and it's starting no problem at all now. So not sure what that is, but they are renowned, Clio 172s and 182s, for electrical gremlins. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it appears again, but we'll see. Okay, so the other thing that I need to do is replace the washer fluid motor, because it's all blocked up and it's not working. It's not the fuse, so it will obviously be the motor, which is again a common problem. It's like £7 for the part off eBay, so I'm going to order that in a minute and get that in, and I'll replace that. In order to get to that, you've just got to take 3 screws off here and then use a puller to take the windscreen blades off. That comes off, lift up the unit and change the pump in there. I used to do it on my 182, so I know how to do that pretty quickly. And Ollie, shout out to Ollie for dropping this off. It's a 100 quid KTR pipe, sorry, and he just let me have it for 30 quid. And that, if you look there, just need to trim it down, but that's going to be perfect for the job. And it also means that I can put this breather, remove that, it's on there loose, and actually put that straight into the airbox, which is better and has more as standard. So yeah, let's get this onto there, measured up and cut, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. And then I can take it back to Javen and he can put it through the MOT again. The only thing I do need to get is obviously the washer fluid. I'll get a replacement one of them, only a few quid off eBay, and get a new bulb for it. Other than that, it'll be over to Javen to shift the rear beam over slightly, sort out all the corroded pipes, and that's about it. So yeah, let's put you on time lapse. Let's get this cut and fitted into the car. Well, as ever with cars, it's taken a hell of a lot longer than I wanted it to, but I'm happy to report that that went pretty well. There you go, you can see it in there. I don't know how much impact it'll have, because obviously if the air coming straight into there would be better where it used to be with the pipe here, but there was still a bend for the air to come in anyway, so it just means that the air's not coming in quite as straight as before, but I don't think that's going to make much difference. But yeah, it's gone in pretty well. Again, thanks to Wally for that. And that's all I can pretty much do for today. One thing I noticed with the caliper, which had the snap bolt, luckily I had a spare, I think it's rear piston or rear section caliper. As you can see, it snapped off. Where is it? There. So I've replaced it with the spare one I had, but it seems that it's not biting, it's not squeezing the pads together, so it's obviously that this is gone. So because when you hit the pedal, it's really soft and spongy, then it goes firm and then it goes soft again. The only thing I've changed is obviously this. So I've just seen Javen briefly. He said when he replaces all the brake lines from the back up to the rear calipers, he'll swap this over. He's got a spare one anyway, so he'll put that on for me. But yeah, that's it. That's good. So 10 days for retest. I think it's got about 4. When did we put it in? I can't remember, but anyway, it'll go in for the retest, and now it's just a case of me deciding whether or not to take the FRP on track. I mean, it is very tempting, but we'll just have to see how we get on. But for now, that's going to be all. The next video that I do will be track footage, and hopefully, if I decide to take it, it will be with the Racing Puma. But for now, that's all, and I'll catch up with you soon. And I'll remind you just all to like the video as well if you can, and leave a comment, and ask people to subscribe as well, because it obviously helps with more and more people seeing the content. So yeah, thanks very much. I'll catch you again soon. Cheers.